Thank you so much for taking the time to jump on and chat this afternoon. My name's Natalie, and I'm here from FanSided Entertainment. I'm super excited to ask you both some questions.
Oh, great. We are too.
Great. Same here.
Great. So, Elisabeth, apart from being an accomplished actress, something that I really admire about you is your work in philanthropy. At FanSided, we're big advocates of Special Olympics. And so tell me about the work that you're doing with the organization.
Well, it's just a privilege for me that they wanted to have a relationship with me because I was so inspired by Special Olympics purpose, not only within the community of people with intellectual disabilities and their families, but also just as a community. It's a way of life. And it's a philosophy that I feel inspired to be surrounded by people within Special Olympics that are living life with an inclusive mindset and progressive thinking and knowing the value of human life and all human lives and the diversity, the importance of the diversity that we each bring to that story of human life. And just was very inspired by Eunice Shriver's commitment to create a more inclusive world for people with intellectual disabilities, and have made some great friends with the athletes, and just continue to be excited to be a part of their world. And it's a privilege to look forward to 2022 games and 2023 games and celebrate their athleticism, but also just their spirit, their community.
Fantastic. And Stephanie, as a Special Olympics athlete, what is your favorite part about working with the organization?
I love Special Olympics because I learned to play sports and have good sportsmanship and confidence to have a healthy body and mind.
Amazing. That's really, really great. And I have a question for both of you guys. So Special Olympics games, of course, are huge events that typically take place in person. So how has it been working with the organization since the pandemic started? Have you both been involved in any virtual events?
Well, I mean, Stephanie, you want to go first because you're the athlete.
Sure. I work out with the School of Strength video, and I swim 3 times a week. I go hiking and walk around in the neighborhood. I work out with the Special Olympics online fitness session. I spoke to medical students about how to communicate to people with intellectual disabilities. I have monthly meetings with other health messengers online.
That makes me think of something so important, which is something we're trying to express to the world on behalf of Special Olympics, and they're not just their commitment to the events and to sports, but also to inclusive health. And I know during COVID, people with intellectual disabilities are even more vulnerable to COVID, and online resources were provided by Special Olympics, as well as, like Stephanie said, they've trained, and I guess you were part of that training during COVID, and to use this time wisely. You've remotely been a part of what they've been doing for a long time, which is training over 300,000 students and medical professionals on inclusive health. And how to help them be advocates for Special Olympics, but people with intellectual disabilities, which, as we all know, have more health problems, more health complications, and statistically die 16 to 20 years earlier than other people with less complicated health situations. So it's exciting that you were working on that, Stephanie, helping to talk to medical professionals about how to meet the needs of people with intellectual disabilities during this time.
Yes.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I'm sure it wasn't easy, but it's really great to hear that, you were able to keep going and still working with the organization and making a huge impact as well. And Stephanie, I know that you're big into fitness and healthy eating, and you mentioned that Special Olympics has helped you with your confidence. How else would you say working out and training has positively impacted your life? Would you say that, it's made you a happier person?
It made me so happy that I feel a lot of more confident and some of them have very good sportsmanship. Winning is not winning important thing ever, but I don't really care about who's winning on something else.
Mm-hmm.
But let me win. But if I cannot win, but let me be brave in the attempt.
Mm-hmm.
It helps me that it's all through all Special Olympics athletes to involve with Special Olympics and as to play Special Olympics, any of the sports, Olympic type sport, and exercise, and then do all the virtual workouts.
I think what Stephanie said is so inspiring to me, and another reason why I love the partnership that I share with athletes like Stephanie and Special Olympics family in general, which is let me be brave in the attempt. Mm-hmm. To talk about inclusive health, we have to talk about the importance of advocating to ensure that people with intellectual disabilities needs are included in the healthcare system. But just the athleticism, the community, the sports, the events, the feeling your body and feeling like you're seen and heard and you have a place in the world to thrive, and that you just feel good about yourself in your attempt to live fully in this way. I think Eunice Shriver really created a world in which people with intellectual disabilities are allowed or created an environment where they can feel that vitality of life and the bravery and the confidence that comes from just trying, and that that giving it your best shot and being a community or being on a team. And the athletes never cease to amaze me in their big spiritedness and how they make room for each other. They encourage each other. It's not about winning. It's about the community thriving and feeling alive and seen and heard in a way that we all want to be seen and heard, all people.
Yeah, that's really, really beautiful. The community aspect is, I think, the most important, and it's just fantastic to have that. So, Elisabeth, you're also the co-founder of the Respect Project. Could you tell us just a little bit of how that all started and why you're so passionate about the cause?
I created the Respect Project because I thought, well, what the world needs now is a little bit more respect, a little bit more truth-telling, and to take off the mask that we all wear, whether it's because of social media or just the constraints of, societal expectations. And I wanted to create conversations with diverse people to tell their story on behalf of each other so that we all feel a little bit less alone in the world. And I was interested in doing one with the Special Olympics because I felt that their moral compass really was exactly what the moral compass was of the Respect Project, which was to include diverse voices to tell their narrative, to tell their story. And in doing so, we feel more unified because we're not all the same and we shouldn't be all the same. And actually, in accepting and celebrating our differences, we can learn to have more self-respect and more mutual respect. And again, I think Special Olympics really gets this message out there very well, that people with intellectual disabilities are just as necessary as everybody else. And that diversity is a beautiful thing. And there's a beautiful spirit to how everybody moves through the world and in their life. And I think they make a really special place for people like Stephanie who are thriving and have a beautiful relationship with their mom and community and friends, and to tell their story. And Respect Project is all about telling our different stories with mutual respect for our lives.
That's wonderful. It's really great. And I also think it's so inspiring how outspoken you've been on the stigma around infertility and your own experience with IVF as well.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I really do.
Fantastic. So also, Elisabeth, your directorial debut, The Girl in the Basement, came out last year, and then your follow-up, Switch Before Birth, premiered just a few months later. So 2021 was a huge year for you. Congratulations on that. I want to know what your transition was like for you from actor to director, and then are you planning to continue directing in the future?
Yeah, thank you. It really was a big year. And, ironically, everything always leads back to the spirit of Special Olympics, because I think we all have to feel confident that our voice matters. Mm-hmm. And, for me, stepping into directing from acting was in direct correlation with my feeling that I had a story to tell beyond just acting, that I needed to direct in order to tell certain stories. The first film was about abuse. The second film was about infertility. Not that everything I want to direct is going to have to be about something significant, but I tend to gravitate towards that. And I definitely intend to keep directing. And I intend to keep supporting all people, including myself, in finding their voice and their power, their personal power. Again, I always think of Special Olympics athletes and think, wow, they have such a spirit to win and to be happy and to thrive. And I think so nothing should get in our way. We're so privileged to not have to overcome that. Mm-hmm. And the stigma around it, so I guess I learn all the time from athletes and this family that there's nothing we can't do. So I surpassed my limitations and decided to step into the directing seat. It's been great. And I'll do it again.
That's wonderful. That's really inspiring and a really great message as well, for really anyone wanting to get out of their comfort zone, whether it be with, athleticism, with movies, directing, anything really in life, the message applies. So that's wonderful. A bit of a segue here. So we're huge fans of the CW network at FanSided Entertainment. So it's super cool to chat with a CW alum like you, Elisabeth, not just with Jane the Virgin, but also with the show Angel, which technically ran on the WB, but then years later that turned into the CW. So given that it was a really popular show and a spinoff of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which of course had a huge fan base, I don't think it's entirely surprising that there have been talks of rebooting either or both shows. So I want to know, what are your thoughts on an Angel reboot? Would you be open to returning to the character of Kate Lockley in the Buffyverse somehow?
I would love it. It's funny. When I auditioned for Angel, Joss Whedon called me and he talked about that it wasn't just about vampires and demons, and it was actually about the human experience, and to not look at the show as like just for kids, or and I really grew to understand that. He was like Dr. Seuss. He was telling much bigger, more human stories, but in this world, this fantastical world. So I absolutely loved doing Angel and working with David Boreanaz. And there were lots of really meaningful themes in the show. And so I think it would be great to revisit all of that sort of, fantasy, but also reality, because, there were sort of deep narratives that we all relate to. So I would love to do it again.
Awesome. Fingers crossed. We'll be on the lookout for that, hopefully. And so my last question is a little bit of a fun one for both of you guys. Elisabeth, it's really fun to see how many genres you've worked with. There's action, comedy, drama, even horror. Is there a genre you wish you could do more of? And Stephanie, are you a movie fan, and what type of movies do you like?
I love movies a lot, but my favorite one is comedy and action, animated ones. Yes. And Marvels.
Oh, Marvel fan. That's great.
I have to agree with Stephanie. I am directing my next movie is going to be a comedy, and that's going to be a challenge for me because I can be kind of serious, and I think laughing and laughter and joy and all of that is so important, especially after all that the world has been through in the last couple of years with COVID. So I love that. And I would definitely aspire to do a Marvel movie. That would be great. I would love to deal more with superheroes and again, it all goes back to Special Olympics because we all are our own superhero. And I can understand why Stephanie, who's a superhero too, in her athleticism and her, her helping this movement, that you are a superhero, Stephanie, for other people and a voice of strength and inspiration for others. And so I like all of the storytelling with good superheroes.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Well, thank you both so much. You both are really inspiring, and it was just really awesome to get to meet you and chat with you just a little bit. So thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day and this year as well. It should be a big one.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Stephanie.
Thank you, Natalie.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you, Natalie.